I'm Supermoon Tarot, and in today's video, we are going to be looking at 1 year from now. As you can see, I've got you all decked out with your toolkit for the year. We have a super duper potent candle. I've already seen some crazy effects from the short time I've had it. This is for unblocking any obstacles or, well, blockages in your way. So for the next year, if something is preventing you from reaching a goal or an understanding of yourself, we're gonna have it removed. Same thing for my beloved pyrite crystal. We have red desert jasper. This is awesome for grounding and helping you make the best decisions possible with the most level head and feeling more in control of yourself. We got rose quartz, great for self-love as well as just general romantic endeavors. Who doesn't love that? We have malachite for good fortune and good luck. I have mookaite, which is awesome for being grounded in order to experience new adventures. And then we have my new current favorite, my black tourmaline, because this sucks in negative and bad energies and turns it into positive, beneficial energy. So if you do experience something that isn't, if you don't necessarily want to experience it, at least it will turn out in your favor nonetheless, and you'll get something out of it and end up being happier. So either way, we're looking for a win-win situation with you. As you can see, we have 4 groups in front of you. I'm going to give you a moment to pick the group that you resonate with most. You can do so now. And now that you have, you can go down to the description where your marked timestamp and group is designated, and let's get started with group number 1. Let's see where you're going to be 1 year from now by looking at the cards. We have 2 of Cups and there's seahorses. Okay, I'm pumped to get into that one. Upright, Knight of Wands in reverse, Page of Cups in reverse, the Fool card in reverse, Justice card upright, and 9 of Cups in reverse. Interesting. I have a feeling this coincides with this. Okay, so I'm gonna have to pull a lot more cards, but the main thing I'm seeing over here is, yeah, you're gonna meet someone. I'm pretty darn excited for you because 2 of Cups is my all-time favorite version of romance cards between the 2 of Cups and the Lovers, because the Lover's fantastic card, nothing wrong with it, but 2 of Cups pops up when you meet somebody who is returning your energy exchange equally. This is why I feel this sense of duality between what's going on here and here, because the Justice card talks about something happening that is like you reap what you sow. It's like what you put in energy-wise is what you get back, and that's exactly what we have over here. This is somebody who returns your respect, trust, love, affection, all that good stuff in equal exchange to what you give them. So for many people who are, big love bugs, this is fantastic. You're finally getting the deserved attention back that you invest in other people, which is fantastic. But the thing that's really interesting here is seahorses are amazing. First of all, they're around good luck, so the malachite is definitely working. But they talk about the idea of guaranteed partnership with like it being a slower process. It's not going to be something where you meet them and it's instantly you hit it off. It doesn't mean there isn't a connection and you don't start dating for a little while, but something seems to prolong the connection a little bit before you're full on together. Now, after a year, you'll be together, but during this year, there's something really slow bubbling, and I feel like it's because of this. Now, bubbling is a really interesting word I just chose because that's actually what I was thinking of when I see these cards together. Think of the Knight of Wands as you being like, I really want to pursue this thing. Now, we're not talking about the romantic situation over here. This is a separate situation, which is why I want to pull some more cards and stuff. And you've got all this like great potential and energy and enthusiasm and inspiration, but think of it as the heat, the fire that it represents with wands. and it's boiling this Page of Cups, which is some sort of message being brought your way. I say some sort because the thing is, even if it's in reversed, it doesn't mean it needs to be read in reversed. And I want to understand what's going on here before I say it's good or bad news. And then don't worry, if it's bad, we'll understand. Is there some way we can work around it or have it work to your advantage, essentially? So it's like boiling up the hot water. And then the message is getting convoluted, like it's making you think you need to respond instantly. And that's when we get the Fool card in the reverse. I have a feeling this is the Fool card in reverse. I just have to pull another card to make sure. Because when we have the Fool card in reverse, this is when we take risks we know we shouldn't. We know better, and yet we do it, and we're risking our, I don't want to be dramatic and say safety, just say like general well-being. Like, you hang out with someone that's maybe toxic and then you don't feel too great later. Think of this on a minor scale. I always have to say this because when you do tarot, I say this even for myself, it's so easy to think the worst case scenario if you slightly hear bad news. This isn't the case. So don't worry, we're going to pull some more cards to have some understanding and turn out your way, but I think this is actually genuinely all really positive and going to intermix. So then we have the Justice card, like I said. So it looks like you leap into something and you get back in return what you put in. But the interesting thing here is I can already feel this is like a good thing. The Justice card feels positive. It feels like you're getting back good stuff for the good stuff you're putting in. But then here's where the convoluted message gets in. But if you're taking risks and making bad decisions when you get that back, it's interesting. We're going to understand this better. This also can be a karmic tie. Ooh. Is this a soulmate connection? Ooh, I hope so. Now we have Nine of Cups. Whatever it is, it doesn't seem too bad because when we have a Nine of Cups in reverse situation, this basically says, yeah, the situation going on the Justice card isn't bad. In fact, it's actually pretty darn great. But at this time, you don't seem to be very pumped about it. This is more like dissatisfaction out of pickiness. So it's like, usually this is the card that pops up that says, hello, wake up, everything's really great. You're focusing too much on something slightly not being the exact way you want it to be. Otherwise, everything's really great. It's 98% awesome. So again, positive message, but the perspectives are really interesting here. So first, let's understand what's going on with this future partner of yours. Oh, do you see this right here? Yeah, we got a dual message going on. We have the Fool card and the Page of Cups being repeated here. This to me feels like one scenario, and it feels like your partner is helping out with another. Before I dive into this, let me just pull from our cards because I just want to be absolutely clear because I want to talk about the spirit animals here. So let's come back to that. Let's understand this dissatisfaction. Okay, we got the Tower card, which just simply means that it is a big life-changing thing. So this is probably where the dissatisfaction came in. You didn't want your life to change in this way. It was a big shift in your daily schedule. Doesn't necessarily mean it's bad, but it wasn't what you had expected. And sometimes when change comes to us when we're not ready, even if the change is fine, it's not like a huge deal, we can get kind of hooked on that idea. Yeah, it looks like something changed in the way, like some sort of methodology. Like the way you approach something got switched up. And when we say approach something, this could be work, maybe your work changed, maybe I'm getting more of a brain thing. It feels like your brain, the way it processes information and is able to handle it, got switched perspective-wise, and you didn't want this, and you're kind of grappling with it. And I know this sounds really negative, but I got to be honest with you, it just does not feel like anything bad's happening to you. It's just a shakeup you didn't intend for. I want to understand what's going on over here. So, Queen of Swords in reverse. Six of Swords in reverse. Four of Swords in reverse. Yeah, this is all brainwave stuff. This is like a mindset. So this is where it gets really interesting. Oh, I just realized, look, we have Four of Swords again. Okay, wow, this is playing out so interestingly. I'm so sorry, just let me pull one more card because I think I've got this puzzle put together. Yeah, High Priestess. Okay, this is beautiful. I knew this was all interconnected. I knew it. Okay, so let's get into how this all maps out. Essentially, it looks like something happens. I'm feeling like it's not this person. Something happens and it messes with your judgment, your intuition. And you're just kind of off a little bit. This is when you think you know what you're doing, you think it feels right, but you're kind of forcing it a little bit and you're rushing yourself. And who hasn't been here in this life? This isn't something to criticize. It just happens sometimes. But that's when we get that Knight of Wands in reverse energy. And it is a reverse. This is when you're moving forward, but it's very scattered. You're not really sure how to exactly focus, like where to focus first in that energy. And as you're moving forward to pursue this thing and you have all this gusto and energy behind you, it does lead to you receiving some news, which is great. But unfortunately, that news again gets misinterpreted. This is the type of news that is not necessarily bad, but it's like you're jumping too far in advance of already thinking. You're like thinking into the future too much. It's like hearing, oh my gosh, you got the job, it all worked out, and you being like, okay, now let me prep everything. It's very much that sort of vibe and feeling. You're already too scattered and excited to get to the next positive thing, but in turn you're reading too much into it. Page of Cups is good news, but it's also like it's much smaller news. It's in this case, it's the type of thing where it's like, yeah, I mean, you might have an opportunity to interview, but that doesn't mean you have the job yet. You got to like take it one step at a time, if that makes sense. And then this is when we get a bit of our kind of like your spirit guides. This would be your spirit guides reaching out to you at this point. So it looks like you can feel something's off around this time period when you start taking these risks, you start making choices where you know you shouldn't. It looks like when we have the Six of Swords situation, you seem like you're going back to some old habits, back to some old people you shouldn't be hanging out with. Think of this, remember, as it could be anything from an ex to some toxic old friends to old habits to putting yourself in a position where you really, you know, you're not going to feel great after you talk to certain people or make certain choices, and yet you're doing them. You don't have to think of them as like a really large dramatic scale. I want to make that perfectly clear. This is not a huge deal, but you could avoid it. You really can. Anyways, you're doing this mostly because you have like an internal monologue going around this time as you can slowly feel this like bad intuition building up over time where you're like really beating yourself up. You're very intelligent. I do want to point this out when we get a Queen of Swords in reverse. But unfortunately, you're using your intelligence and your hyper observational skills to just like tear yourself down internally a little bit. And most of this is all coming from the bad judgment, the beating yourself up, the just jumping a little too far in the future mentally. Doesn't mean there's any consequences. I just want to be clear about that. Is we have the Four of Swords in reverse. You're just burnt out. You're trying to make moves around this time period in order to progress your life. Most of this feels like you're overcoming something more mentally and everything else, like whether it be a job or romance, because I'm getting very vague stuff. It's not going into that. It feels more like it's a byproduct of whatever you're mentally. So like your internal like spirituality, the way you're thinking, that's more of the focal point at this point in time. Either way, you're burned out. You needed a rest a while ago. You don't feel like you can take that rest, and you're just kind of still pushing forward even though you really shouldn't. This always pops up when the universe is saying like, listen, I'm gonna make you take a rest if you don't. You know what I mean? Either way, that leads into the Justice card. The interesting thing is, even though you have all of this, like I said, there is a lot of quote unquote negative things about the feeling off intuitions and misconceiving news a little too soon, stuff like that, we still have a really good thing. It looks like you're still putting in a lot of effort, so that's what you're getting back. The thing though is it's effort where you're running around everywhere and you're not moving forward, kind of like the way the Eight of Cups in reverse would be. So you'll see that things are happening around you, but it also feels like a bit of stagnation around that time period because that's how you feel. You're putting in the effort. There's a lot of good intentions here, so that's what you're getting back, a lot of good intentions. But it doesn't quite feel like anything's actually moving you forward, which in turn, oh my goodness, probably makes you feel crazy. Who doesn't feel like that at that time period? Which is why we're getting a Nine of Cups in reverse situation. Yeah, things are working out well. There's good opportunities. like I said, a lot of positive stuff following you around then, but just nothing quite feels right or feels like you're really truly benefiting from anything. So that's where the, feeling off the 98% comes in. You know what I mean? And this isn't even something that I would necessarily say like, yo, you're having a bad attitude, change your perspective. It's understandable. You're all tossed and turned for the various reasons we talked about in the needing the rest and the moving forward with the kind of off intuition. Again, off intuition only because you need the rest so badly. And so when you have these changes coming about in your life because you are trying to move forward, it's weird. It's like you're moving forward in order to ask for more things in your life. Like you want new adventure, you want change, you want growth, but you're also internally and subconsciously not acknowledging that you're actually not ready yet. You know what I mean? And so as it comes into your life, that's where the kind of like feeling unhappy about the change comes in. You're like, oh, I don't know if I there's a deep internal gut feeling of being like, I want this, and why do I not feel ready for this? You know what I mean? Again, repetitively, because we talked about this before. So where does the romance come in? This is where it gets all really cool and intertwined. So while this corresponds to the methodology, the way you're thinking, how it's affecting decisions you're making around this time and stuff like this, we got this cute scenario going on. This is why the situation with this other person takes a while, because you're kind of getting some things sorted out internally. So while you are talking to them, that's what's prolonging it. Because, so first over here, we got Page of Cups received again. Positive news. They definitely are the one to reach out to you. They are interested. But notice that the lobster represents the Page of Cups. The lobster, in many interpretations with spirit animals, talks about the idea of transformation, and you do that by letting go of like old habits or things that are holding you back in a way. What's holding you back? A belief that you need to move forward when you need to pull back and get this all tightened up. Take a break. You know what I mean? So it looks like they're coming into your life to kind of help you with that. The slowing down with romance and feeling connected to someone is what makes you like pull back and kind of get reset is the best way I can put it. Then we have the Fool card. Fool card is amazing because it does show us that this other person you're interested in totally comes from a different walk of life from you. This could be anything from a belief system to the way they approach life due to their family traditions, whatever it may be. It's a really positive change, if that makes sense, because it's teaching you there's ways to progress that aren't necessarily measured in scores and visible forms of moving forward. Sometimes we can move forward in abstract ways, like understanding somebody else's mindset and belief system and growing in a way that's not necessarily measurable because you're not more of a human just because you've experienced more. Does that make sense? You know what I mean? But the flamingo is really cute because they are extremely open-hearted. This is you trying to be open-hearted, but you're way too in your brain. Does that make sense? I'm seeing a lot of problems in your root chakra and throat chakra around this time period. And it looks like we have this beautiful melding of the two coming together and just feeling more like it's like it goes from feeling haywired off, and this romance helps you get reset again. Again, because of that open-hearted, you go from mind to heart focus going forward. But again, it's that same thing of jumping in, taking risks, but in a positive way, because when the Fool card's upright, it's letting you know that as you move forward in this, while it's something you've never done before, it just seems so easy. So this relationship might be slow, but it doesn't mean it's difficult. And then we have our Four of Swords. This is great. And the funny thing is, you look like you're kind of running from their offers a little bit, because when we have Four of Swords, this is you finally taking that break you needed. So tigers represent solitude, but they also represent somebody who's extremely loyal and concerned about doing what they need to do to make the people they love around them feel happiest. So this is showing you finally realizing you need to slow down, take care of yourself in order to take care of others. So basically, we have you feeling off, then you kind of have a nice little reset time period due to meeting this person, It's like it's a reflection of this. Truly, all these things end up turning into a positive formation in a different way. You end up getting the rest you need, kind of getting back into your intuition, finding yourself again, meeting someone who can really reflect back again. We talk about the justice system, reflection of what you reap is what you sow. You have good intentions. You're just a little off mentally and intuition wise because you're rushing yourself. Once you slow down, that beautiful melding of your good intentions, you do have good luck coming your way. I want to point this out. And this person being patient during your journey, oh, it all beautifully comes together. And I'm just like really excited for you because that's gorgeous and amazing and a very positive thing overall. So is there anything left I want to say? Oh, just some things to keep in mind if you want to make this journey a little smoother. Definitely do what you need to do to unclog your throat chakra and find grounding. That's going to really help you speak your mind. That includes speaking your mind when you don't feel good in order to recognize that and see it happen. Like be like, oh, I am off. I got to do something about this. Be grounded so that you don't act out towards the future too much. You stay here, you can make decisions with a more level head. Definitely understand that things don't have to move in a very quick time with this romance. They're waiting for you, they're reaching out, they understand what you're going through, they're helping you with everything. And don't worry because good things are coming your way. It's more just you adjusting to it because of your perspective and what you're kind of off. It's like a very existential sort of thing. So overall, everything's going to work out fine, but this will help make things a little clearer when you feel off like this, it's not the same thing that can be measured in, when you feel someone's just like, oh, I'm straight up anxious or sad. It's not measured in the same way. It's more weird. So hopefully this helps with everything. Anyways, if you enjoyed this reading, please consider giving a like, comment, subscribe. It helps out like you would not believe. Either way, have a lovely day. I will see you in the next one. And let's get ready for group number 2. Group number 2. Let's find out where you'll be 1 year from now by looking at the cards. We have 3 of Cups upright. Ooh. Okay, I'm loving those butterflies. Page of Swords upright. Knight of Cups upright. 6 of Pentacles in reverse. 3 of Pentacles upright. Ooh, Page of Pentacles upright. These 2. Okay, Spirit Guide is telling me to pull cards for this to get more context. Ooh. Okay, don't worry, I'm going to show them to you. Do not worry. Okay, this is what we have over here. I'm going to just push this out of the way technically. We have King of Pentacles in reverse, Queen of Pentacles in reverse, Ace of Swords in reverse, and the Hermit card in reverse. This is super duper exciting. So let's talk about where you're starting, either right now or you're going to kind of be getting more and more into that mindset over the next, I'd say 2 months, and then where you're going to be moving out of and the very, very, very positive trajectory you have for this year, because I am very excited for your personal transformation. That's right. That's why I got excited when I saw the butterflies, because that's what butterflies represent. So let's start off with where, you're at or kind of coming into, and then we'll talk about where it's shifting. So when we have the Queen of Pentacles and the King of Pentacles in reverse, we're talking about your relationship with money. Yes, are both of these negative? Yes. But I'm going to talk about the positives of them too. Because when we have King of Pentacles in reverse, this is somebody who defines their well-being by money. They are money obsessed. They think about it quite often. They're always in hopes of getting more, not because they're greedy, but they think, well, I will feel like the best version of myself if I made some more money and could make my life a little easier or whatever. Which, again, that's not something to criticize, because who hasn't been there? And often our society teaches us to be that way. Totally understandable, especially for a lot of practical reasons. Queen of Pentacles, somebody very obsessed with money too, kind of controlling, can kind of feel angry towards others if they are having success and they aren't. Totally understandable too, especially if you feel like money feels out of your reach. That's that form of success. But all of that's leading to the Ace of Swords in reverse. Bad judgment.
not thinking clearly because of this sort of influence. Very, very money related. But both the king and queen are also, when they're in reverse, are somebody who's kind of storing up their energy. They are, getting themselves ready before they can go out and be the best person they can be, because both of these energies are extremely generous. They, compared to something like the 10 of Pentacles, they are somebody who makes a lot of money, and then because they're making so much money and they're feeling good about themselves, they in turn are able to share it with others and feel motivated to share it with others. So understand, like, that's where you're ultimately headed. That's like your internal system wanting to change around and be there. So consider this time period when things aren't working out financially in the way you'd hope. Things aren't, popping off to the magnitude maybe you see others. You're building up. But that building up is building to something really awesome, because we have the Hermit card. I want you to focus on this Hermit card. I'm going to take this, move this out of the way, and show where the Hermit card's leading. See, when we have the Hermit card, this is somebody who has spent some time alone, analyzing themselves. This is what you're going into. This is the beginning of your transformation, your metamorphosis. You're going to be going through a time period where you're better understanding yourself. Keep in mind the transformation, if it was the Death card, is usually quite uncomfortable. A lot of people confuse emotional breakdowns for actual spiritual awakenings. You're not going through a spiritual awakening, but we're talking about how you better understand yourself in a positive, fun way. This is going to be a very fun year for you. And this is somebody who takes that knowledge when it's in reverse and goes out into the world and then practices what they've learned. So we're talking about what you're learning and then where it's going. And I'm very excited to get into that. So 3 of Cups, you're going to be meeting a group of friends. I'm very excited for you. These are wonderful people. These are people that you just kind of feel like you're in sync with. Don't be surprised if you feel like they're your soulmates. These are people that you just kind of, like, you've never had a group before. Does that make sense? And somehow you just suddenly are in each other's business all the time. You're always hanging out. There's no drama. There's no crushes or anybody worried about the hierarchy or a leader. Not at all. There's just a nice little flow going on. When we have the 3 of Cups upright, this is an extremely positive situation that's filled with fun. You're going to just finally get a break from that mentality of worrying about money and what it means and how you can get it and feeling like, why can't I manifest that sort of feeling? And just kind of forgetting about that, getting lost in social situations. That is definitely how I would theme this year for you. Very social. And we have over here, we start to feel that transformation with a Page of Swords. This is a lot of positive feedback in general from your group. I'll definitely expect a lot of group chats for sure, like via your phones and stuff like that. This is Spirit saying that a lot of you are going to meet online during this time period. Like, this could be anything. This could be any sort of app. It doesn't have to necessarily be just your phone and text messaging. This could be kind of being like admiring someone's creative work on another social app and being like, hey, I like that. And then you start talking to each other that kind of way. Either way, there's a definite confidence boost by both feeling like you can relax and trust people. But yeah, I mean, who doesn't feel great when they're being told by people they admire that they in turn are making something or are a person of value, so to speak, a pretty cool person. So that sort of vibes going on. Again, very positive, very fun transformation to build your confidence. But here's where it goes, which I love. So when we have the 3 of Pentacles over here, it looks like you guys are going to be going into business with each other, which is really interesting. Now, when we have a 3 of Pentacles, this isn't just purely you're going into business with each other. It's the excitement of understanding that ideas don't have to, like, it's like completely removing your ego out of the situation, overcoming any ego and thinking, well, money and ideas solely have to come from me or it doesn't count. This is being in the mindset of understanding you can have even the smallest, fragment of an idea and somebody can build off of that, and then somebody can build off of their idea, and then all together your ideas can together mesh and make something greater than the sum of their individual parts. So this is like a feeling of togetherness. This is a level of creativity and brilliance you wouldn't have met on your own. This is understanding how to work with other people. This is having success because you're able to both be social, but also turn it into something with money. Now, this is where it starts to all beautifully come together with where you were at and where you're going to be. So when we have, where do I want to start? First of all, Knight of Cups, I can see this is something that you're really putting your heart into. This is a business that you feel extremely passionate about and you express it often. Your friends express it, other people express it. Expect a lot of verbal, overly emotional conversations about the success of this endeavor together, which is really exciting, fun. But we have these two cards going on. So this is why I pulled more cards, and I understand now why Spirit wanted me to. When we have Six of Pentacles in reverse, often this is a negative thing. But in your case, it is not. Six of Pentacles in reverse is when we are giving too much of ourselves, whether that be financially, energy, resources, whatever, and we're not setting, a boundary between what we're giving and what people are taking. Often this comes from the, when you're around people who are using you, or it's somehow like toxic, they're aware of it, they're seeing what they can get from you, essentially. Not in this case. This actually shows how much you care about this thing that you're doing, that you kind of are putting yourself on the back burner because you feel that the idea and the endeavor and the emotions behind it are more important than the ego of yourself. Does that make sense? This doesn't always, just to be clear for any of my tarot readers learning, this doesn't have to be, usually this is without ego. This is usually a very selfless card and somebody's taking advantage of this. This is a positive version of it. It's being selfless to yourself, because normally if you're giving too much to other people, you're in turn ignoring yourself, if that makes sense. Queen of Pentacles can be the same thing, just to be clear, in reverse. But in this case, that's where this is coming up over here. This is you building up energy, understanding things, realizing and letting go of these mentalities by hanging back, getting to know yourself again, by being social. This is your hangout time. This is your reclusive time. When you understand how to socially interact, you understand the sense of fun, you understand passion again, connection again, anything that you needed to learn during this time period, you come out of that hiding with your friends and you bring it towards an endeavor. For once, you're free of this mentality because of what you've learned over here, and you're taking this on. But then we also have that mentality being continued and confirmed when we have Page of Pentacles. This is somebody who goes into something with a much more lighthearted approach. So this is before, you were probably incredibly intelligent and practical with how you approach things, wondering, is this popular? Is this not popular? Is this a good idea? This is not a good idea. Page of Pentacles backs off and says, when I ask for help, or if I put something out there, I am more relaxed and able to notice when I'm being given signs or synchronicities or dreams to get the best actual clues and intuition from myself, the universe, spirit guides. I'm approaching something and understanding if I take my time, things will naturally work out in my favor because I'm giving enough time for things to develop in between. It's like being like, oh, it'll work out the way it works out. And then because you didn't fill out something immediately, 3 days later that opened up a room for somebody else to pop in and go, hey, I have this opportunity. This opportunity wouldn't have presented itself before if you had been in its way overthinking it, if that makes sense. So this is somebody who's more relaxed, more fun, being successful, and still working towards something of value in the future. So this shows me that this is a business that has potential, as you guys put your emotions into it, of having a very long-term success. But it's something that's very relaxed. Fun is the name of the game, and there is room and balance between having business savvy and kind of just being like, it will work out the way it works out, man. You know what I mean? We just got to wait for the idea to come to us, and knowing that it will. And because you're more relaxed, it comes to you in like a day or two and not 2 months of frustration trying to force it. So get excited because you're going to be coming into money with some cool other people, really gaining a better sense of yourself and ideas and creativity, all by having fun. So it's going to be a really good year for you, and I'm really excited. Anyways, if you enjoyed this reading, please consider giving it a like, comment, subscribe. It helps out the channel like you would not believe. Either way, have a lovely day. I will see you in the next one. Let's get ready for group number 3. Group number 3. Let's find out where you will be 1 year from now by looking at the cards. We have 4 of Cups, upright, 8 of Wands in reverse, King of Wands in reverse, 10 of Swords upright, 9 of Pentacles upright, and 2 of Cups upright. I love how shady this guy is. I think this is my favorite rendition of the Ten of Swords. Let me just double check this isn't a relationship. I don't feel like it is, but I just want to double check that. Nope, not a relationship. Okay, could not be clearer. We will be getting into this later on. This is all positive. This is a great change, but I just wanted to double confirm this is not a relationship situation. Okay, so over here is this wonderful thing. I'm very excited. It is money related. It is a positive money oriented ending for you. I'm so pumped. This is somebody who has a lot of money and a sense, this would be different than a leadership. So it's like leadership, but like isolated leadership. So for some of you, this is a general reading. This is being able to work from home. For some of you, this is a job where you get your own kind of little office. You're off to the side and you manage other people, but you don't have to constantly be with them all the time. So you get a lot of peace and quiet and a lot of money. So I'm excited to go into that. But it looks like you're going to be going through something in order to get there. So we're going to go over it, and I am going to pull some more cards to get more specific. But take what I'm saying with a certain level of grain of salt, but also open-mindedness, because these are things you're going to keep in mind in order to overcome this little time period of mentally working some things out to get to here faster. So let's talk about it and let's get into it. First off, the first things I'm going to say is when we have a Four of Cups situation over here, and there looks like there's a sense of stability for you, which is interesting. See, when we have a Four of Cups, this is when this is like the bad mood card. Often this pops up when you have apathy, or you're just kind of like, oh, things aren't going my way. Oh, I hate this. But you're not really that like aggressive about it. It's not really bringing you down that much. It's just kind of making you a little frustrated or, discontented with how things are maybe working out better for other people kind of thing, whatever. And then we have the Eight of Wands reversed showing us that this is the very reason why things aren't moving forward for you. It's like there's a lot of potential around you. We see the potential of where it's going to go, where you're going to end up, what you're going to overcome. But that potential is always surrounding you even now. Those opportunities are waiting, but they're being held back by this perspective. Interestingly enough, when I'm getting a clue that it has something to do with stability, it's like you kind of weirdly, and keep in mind, you might say, no, that's not me. We don't always truly understand why we do the things we do or aware that we are even doing it until way later down the line. So just, again, keep an open mind. This is like your crux. It's easier to have this mentality and perspective than do what you need to do in order to move forward. That doesn't mean you're against it. And that doesn't mean you're closed off from it. It just feels like it's easier to rely on what you know, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? So not a criticism, just something to keep in mind if you feel like when you're going through your journey, you find yourself relying back to this, pull away. That's your crux. You don't need to think that way anymore, if that makes sense. But then we have over here, King of Wands is interesting because I actually get the King of Wands upright all the time. It's like my go-to advice for my spirit guides. So when the King of Wands is upright, it's an incredibly positive card that essentially says you can have success if you have fun. The King of Wands upright is incredibly intelligent, but most people aren't aware of his intelligence because he appears like he's just so silly and non-cavalier and stuff like that. But he's not being silly to be manipulative. He just realizes sometimes having fun and letting loose is the better environment for people. It's the better way that allows his thought process to think of things and come up with ideas, but he has not forgotten the main goal. He's still trying to move towards it, and he's incredibly intelligent and makes smart decisions. So it's like the highest form of compliment and a great free-spirited way of approaching success and work ethic and stuff like that. But when it's in reverse, it's usually, I find, again, every tarot reader reads cards differently. This is how I read tarot for the King of Wands reverse. This is about someone being very controlling, but your spirit guides desperately want you to take the opposite perspective I just laid out. This is somebody who feels there isn't time for fun. They're really focused on making things happen in a particular way. They're holding on too long, and then that leads to the Ten of Swords, a bad ending. Now, I say that very vaguely here because I'll be honest with you. From what I'm getting from my spirit guides, tarot is very extreme sounding, and this is just a side note. I don't like when people add to the seriousness of it. Sometimes cards sound really intense, and then when you experience it, you're like, well, that wasn't that bad. It's like if I told you right now you were going to have a fight with like a friend or significant other. How many fights have you had in your lifetime? You're fine. You got through it. It wasn't a big deal. You overcame it, no problem. 2 minutes later. You know what I mean? I don't feel this bad ending would be like so huge and monumental. It just feels like, yeah, maybe you embarrassed yourself a little and you didn't get that thing that you wanted. Not a huge big deal. You'd overcome it very easily, but it for sure would not be what you would like. So we've got a bad mood stopping all this potential opportunity that you think isn't there, but it is. It's a perspective thing. You're kind of depending on it because what you know. We've got a control thing going on, leading you in a direction you don't want. But then we have this positive situation going on. So let's see where we can go from here. I want to understand what's going on with this negative mindset. Oh, well, that makes complete sense. We keep talking about this. I knew it. Your subconscious is reading loud and clear. Okay, so King of Pentacles. This is for our situation, like what's this bad ending? What is it that you need to avoid controlling and perspective-wise that you need to pull away from, essentially? So take this as like guidance. So when we have a King of Pentacles in reverse, this is somebody who's money obsessed. They're defining themselves by how much they can make and what they can return. This is a very hard thing to break. I have the utmost compassion for anyone. We've been trained by society to want this. Our parents want this for us. They have been told by their parents. And understandably, you do get treated differently by a lot of people. It's understandable that, and also, to be honest with you, without all that ego, it's just really fun to work hard and see measurable results of what you did. Totally understandable. But this is somebody who's defining themselves too much for it. They're not taking a mental break from it, like we talked about over here. Then we have the Six of Pentacles in reverse. This is somebody who is giving too much of themselves and not understanding there needs to be a sort of like barrier between what they give to people and when they kind of stop and they go, now it's time to take care of myself. I need to be full of enough energy in order to then in turn give that back. It's like the desire to want to be generous. Keep in mind, King of Pentacles upright. I want to talk about that. Oh, wait, I'm jumping into it far advanced. Let me stick with this. Sorry, I'm getting too ahead of myself. This shows me that you are not a selfish person. You are incredibly hard worker, but unfortunately you're getting too much asked of you. This card does pop up letting us know that your employer and the position you're being put in is taking advantage of you. You can change that. When we have Four of Cups, it always lets us know our flexibility and that we can make things work to our advantage. This isn't the way it has to be. You can change the narrative of how you work and how people perceive and what they expect of you. But when we have the Seven of Cups in reverse, this is letting us know that you're kind of like aware of this, you're aware of the money obsession, you're aware of that you're working really hard at your job and too much is being asked of you, but you're just kind of like, whatever, this is what I want to do. But the problem with this decision-making compared to something like the Two of Swords is, again, we're keeping shown you have all these options, all these other possibilities. This is making me strongly feel there is the potential to find work elsewhere, that this might not be the place you're going to find it. There's other places that are calling your name that are going to be a better place for you to, start when you start out saying, listen, this is how I expect things. I'm going to work hard. But if I say no, or I'm busy, or I'm not available that day, that's just how it is. I got to go take care of me. You know what I'm saying? But it's like, again, there's an awareness that you are intelligent, that you're capable, that people want you, but you just keep saying, yeah, I'll stay here. This is what I'm comfortable with. Again, I just want to be absolutely clear. Totally understandable. It's really scary to change jobs. It's really scary to do different things. And yet, that is not what the cards want for you. So let me pull some more cards. I want to understand what's going on over here in order to change this situation. Oh, don't worry, I'll pull those cards again. When we have the King of Pentacles, I was just thinking this out. When we have the King of Pentacles, this is somebody who, when it is upright, this is just a mindset to take on. They are still love money, they love business, they still have that mentality, but they enjoy the act of it rather than worrying about the end result of the money. They enjoy the tacticalness of pursuing the job. They enjoy the thrill of thinking something out. They enjoy seeing their resources used in an intelligent way. And then they enjoy when they get that money, not going, oh, I'm so rich, but then saying, how can it positively affect the people around me? Giving money to people, sharing parties with people. It's the idea that money is meant to be made to be spent and to improve your life, not to hoard it. Hoard it in mentality, hoard it in physical amounts. So this is just a perspective to keep in mind as you start to be like, well, how do I become less money obsessed? Do you see what I'm saying? Same thing with Six of Pentacles upright. This is somebody who is able to be incredibly generous and give to other people, whether it be energy and time in their job, but they're also able to put up a boundary, just to be clear. And of course, this is all about somebody being aware of all the options they have. And, you know, looking around, thinking about it. You get what I'm saying? So anyways, back to what we were saying. Six of Swords, upright. Ace of Swords, and King of Pentacles. Could that not be any clearer? We just talked about what that meant. That's so funny. So it looks like you overcoming this mentality will be a bit of a struggle, not because anything is particularly in your way other than yourself. This is a mental blockage. If you are very money obsessed with the King of Pentacles in reverse, that is understandably not something you're going to just magically turn over the next day. Be patient with yourself. Keep pushing forward. Know that you're going to reach the Six of Swords is basically like, oh, you're going to get there, but you're going to have to keep push forward and not beat yourself up along the way when you feel like you go back to old habits. Six of Swords is somebody who's acknowledging that they have been kind of traumatized or unfortunately personality shaped by what they have been through before, especially with childhood stuff, related stuff. So this is like experiencing a bump in the road, feeling like you're going back to old habits and perspectives and going, instead of beating myself up, I'm going to accept, hey, how it makes sense that I'm this way, or it's going to be a little difficult. That's okay. I forgive myself, and then still moving forward, if that makes sense. Not using it as a crux, not using it as a form of a weapon to hurt yourself, just, you know, moving forward anyways. Ace of Swords upright is somebody who is gaining that, we talked about the King of Pentacles, that perspective of, what's it called? Sorry, my brain is like totally draining right now. Somebody who is able to enjoy the job itself and the money and all that type of stuff. And this is the new perspective on the matter. This is somebody who is able to kind of ignore everything they've had in the past, kind of like erase your brain, pretend you're a new person. Every time you feel like you're making a decision, are you making it on old habits, old perspectives? Clear mind, look at it just totally as is. This is something to important to think about, because we have an egret over here with, now that makes complete sense. I was trying to think about if this is a herring or an egret before I like jumped to conclusions. Now I'm for certain as I'm saying the whole Ace of Swords situation. An egret is someone who, first of all, is self-reliant. So again, utmost compliments from your spirit guides to you. They think very highly of your capabilities, and it's a positive outcome, again, reassuring and confirming the whole Nine of Pentacles success. But an egret is somebody who looks deeper into their situation around them. They're really understanding like how things work. They're thinking about the metaphors. They're thinking about how do they, you know, what do things mean? How do they respond to things? They're understanding what already is and what else can they get from there. Does that make sense? So this is about looking into yourself, how you respond to things, the situation, and going, how can I respond differently? How can I look at this with fresh eyes, if that makes sense? What am I not looking at before? If I feel like when I go to make a decision, I'm saying the same thing I've said a million times, stop. Look around, see what else is out there. That's also very helpful, again, for the idea of the opportunities being around you. I just want to keep pointing out the idea that opportunities are constantly around you all the time. One last thing. Let me just pull up. Yep. Yeah. Okay, last, let me just beat a dead horse one more time and then we'll talk about this over here. This Nine of Cups in reverse basically says you can get everything you want, you're totally capable, but you are focusing way too much on the one thing you don't like. You're allowing that negative mindset or pessimistic attitude towards one thing to dominate all the other positive stuff around you. There's good stuff happening around you now, even if you're not completely happy with your job, there's good stuff coming your way, but you got to understand that even if you have 98% of 100% of what you want, that's still a good thing. Don't let that 2% feel like it holds more weight in the pie chart or whatever explanation I'm using, if that makes sense. We talked about that perspective in the Four of Cups. Did I not say rebirth? This is a huge transformative, oh my gosh, is that the word? Transformation's going on this year. We talked about that. We talked about a whole giant mindset that lets me know this is a mindset you've had since childhood for sure. And then Four of Wands. Four of Wands is great, and I think it really works with your mentality. It basically says that things are going to work out better than you are giving yourself credit for, or you're aware the future is going to turn out, and everything's going to be okay. But it's a card that implies effort still needs to be made. So go look for that other job. Keep working hard on things that you need to change perspective-wise, attitudes you have, insight. Keep being aware of the things that you need to work on. Be active about it, but all that hard work is going to add up to something. Definitely, advice-wise from the spirits, they're saying that when you do get to that ending point where you're like really happy with what you've achieved and gotten, make sure you throw a little party, whether it be with a couple friends, a significant person, even if it is by yourself. Buy a balloon, have a good time, do whatever your version of having fun is, and take a moment to acknowledge that you earned that. There's like an end point. Sometimes when we're in that success route, we never break to acknowledge it. So then if we aren't aware of this, but this is like a thing a lot of people do. If you never stop to appreciate all the hard work you've done, then what ends up happening is you end up, sorry, my brain's really dying right now. You end up building a complex that nothing you do is ever good enough and that you never achieve anything because you never take a moment to acknowledge you've achieved anything. So take that moment. Change these habits. Now let's talk about all the positive stuff coming your way. So I wanted to be double sure with this. This is an attitude kind of perspective, especially when, where's that card? I think this is the card, right? Yeah. How'd it go? Okay, this. This basically says, no, it wasn't a relationship question. Cards can be very matter of fact when you're talking to spirit guides. This was me talking to my spirit guides. No, it wasn't a relationship. It was moving over towards this mentality, which is breaking habits, being aware of cycles and acknowledging them in order to break them. And then King of Swords is like a mastery of yourself, especially one skill in particular. So again, this feels very career oriented like we talked about. But we have over here Nine of Pentacles. This shows us you're going to be getting a huge promotion, a huge uplift, whether that be in the current job you have now. I'm going to be honest with you, I'm feeling much more of a stronger vibe that you're going to be in a different job. You're going to be getting a lot of money. You're going to be treating yourself. This is somebody who understands they earned money. They're taking a second to appreciate that they've earned money. We talked about in the King of Pentacles, somebody who understands spending money. You earn money to spend money. This is somebody who's treating themselves with little gifts, pampering themselves, pampering others. This is somebody who's really proud and acknowledges all the hard work that they've done and thinks, you know what, I am pretty cool. I am pretty resourceful and smart, and I am worthy of this position. This is someone with confidence who understands their worth, who understands when to say when. This is also most likely somebody who works alone. So again, we do have somebody who can be self-employed, but also this is again another position where you're mostly isolated. And then the Two of Cups just pretty much talks about the idea of understanding the opposing feelings. Like you don't have to repress the side of you that works hard and overworks and stuff like that, and understand like the part of you that wants to be really generous. I'm so sorry, my brain's like totally frying out right now. I didn't get a lot of sleep last night. This is when you have two opposing concepts and you bring them together. It's also about equal exchange. So the hard work you put in is what you get back. Very much like the Nine of Pentacles. This is somebody who worked hard for it and they got a lot back for it. But when we talk about opposing ideas, I'm talking about this stuff we talked about here that you're going to be overcoming. This isn't something you need to repress or hate on. There is a benefit to it positively affecting and influencing in a teachable way the stuff you would like to adapt. And the adaptable stuff can give a better insight on why you were the way you were, and that better forgive the parts of yourself that you would like to forgive in order to let go. So it's not about squashing either or repressing the past. So yeah, if you enjoyed this reading, please consider giving it a like, comment, subscribe. It helps out like you would not believe. Either way, let's get started. I'm sorry. Have a lovely day. Let's go for group number 4. Bye. Group number 4. Let's find out where you will be 1 year from now by looking at the cards. We have Ace of Cups upright, 3 of Swords upright, King of Pentacles in reverse, the Magician upright, fantastic, Page of Pentacles upright, and 4 of Pentacles upright. I love this. This is fantastic. I'm going to pull some more cards later on because the Magician card in all its majesty can relate to a mindset. Spirit is really letting me know it's a mindset. Okay, so it could be a mindset, it could be romance, it could be a career. Spirit's very determined that it's a mindset, so it's most likely going to be a mindset. But also I'm seeing 2 different relationships. And so let's get into that, because one relationship, this is a general reading, is the one you're either in now or the next one you're going to be in. It's a big one. It doesn't feel big. I will be honest with you. It does not feel big like you've been with them for like a year or 2. This is big as in like you feel like you were really into them. It felt more serious as a sort of form of a relationship, but only like 2 months kind of thing. You know what I mean? But then we have the relationship you're ending the year on. And I'm excited for this energy. This is somebody who feels really confident about themselves. They want to take life by the horns. They are passionate, inspired. It's got really total 180 vibes from this. And we can see where that energy is matched. So I'm excited to go into that specifically. So let's go over the nitty gritty first, the not fun stuff to hear, and then go into the rest of the spread that's all positive. This person, it does look like they betray you. I'll be honest with you, as a tarot reader, I do not give certain information unless I feel like I'm getting a strong feeling, my spirit guides are explicitly telling me, or I see a combination of cards. If I don't see those things, which I'm not seeing here, I do not absolutely confirm that this is full-on cheating. I mean, it still could be, to be honest with you, but this, who the heck is honking? Sorry. This could so easily be emotional cheating. This could be a general act of betrayal. Like maybe you ask them, hey, please don't go somewhere. I don't want you to go there or hang out with that person, even if it's like a friend maybe. And then they go do it. And you feel like, wait a minute, are we not in a partnership? That's like the biggest feeling spirits make me feel. Are we not in a partnership? Because the main thing that's coming through that causes the betrayal and causes there to be a split and a feeling of like, oh, like feeling like you feel very alone at the end of it is, and again, don't worry, this is going to lead to positive stuff, is because of their ego. They have a very big ego. They care about defining their self-worth by money, by how much they make, what they see other people make, social status, that kind of thing. And they do this thing not in order to hurt you, but out of instant gratification to pet their own ego. Now, when you're not together, they will be thinking of you. There is a small sliver human side of them that did genuinely connect to you and liked you, but I do not see them making any moves, again, out of their own ego. There's just like a feeling of like looking, thinking about you, but not even making an effort to make any moves. So I just want you to let you know that when you feel like you want to move on from this, you can safely. They're not going to contact you. Everything's cool. Everything's fine. And at least it gives you kind of comfort to understand their motivation and not wonder that, was it me? No, it wasn't you at all. And are they worth it? Not really. It's best to just kind of move on. So that's what leaves to the Four of Pentacles. Four of Pentacles is awesome because it is a time period where you're going to be really, it seems like you're going to be kind of marinating is the best way I can put it. It's your time period of healing because the Four of Pentacles is a positive card that basically says sometimes you need to be selfish. It's what you need to do. That's okay. you don't have that energy to give, so you're not giving it, you're just kind of rejuvenating. This is not, and I want to be clear about this is not a card that implies apathy or giving up on life or feeling disconnected in any way. This is just saying, I need a moment, and being very healthy and setting boundaries and being an adult, knowing how to take care of yourself essentially, and kind of understanding you need to, that not all of your energy is gone forever, but it does need time to build up again, if that makes sense. But this kind of sense of isolation and being alone and kind of healing seems like it's adding up to something really big and major over here with the Magician card, which we're going to pull cards for. See, the Page of Pentacles, before we get to that, is a great card that is about somebody who's moving forward in some form of endeavor that's going to be an investment now for the long term, like some sort of long-term goal, whether that be long-term success, whether that be long-term success in a mentality, spirituality, career, whatever. It's like a small little token now that will equal up later. But this is the sort of energy of somebody who's approaching it in a very lighthearted way. So you come from a really heavy-hearted place and it turns to a really joyful, sort of whimsical kind of vibe. Not as whimsical as like the Fool card, but somebody who understands that they don't need to force things. That's what it seems like you're really getting over this time period of healing. Like you don't need to force yourself to feel better. The time it takes and how it happens is kind of intrinsically magical as is, if that makes sense. This is somebody who pays attention to their dreams. This is somebody who recognizes the synchronicities, who lives life playfully, but is looking out to pay attention for the things that are going to give them the clues in order to make the best decisions possible. Again, with the intention of making actions and choices now that are going to be a long-term positive effect, if that makes sense. I'm trying to get out of here. Anyways, I wanted to pull some cards real quickly, though, to best understand the Magician. We got Knight of Swords, Five of Wands, Five of Pentacles. Okay, this is great. So this looks like this is what you're going to be understanding over this time period. So the Magician card is fantastic because this is somebody who is able to make the invisible visible. They don't need anything more or less. They are completely whole as an individual, so therefore they are able to manifest anything. This is incredibly complex and difficult to get to because you do not have to be perfect or completely enlightened to be the Magician. It's just the right perfect amount of understanding and energy all perfectly coming together and being fully understood separately and at the same time, if that makes sense. So many people might understand, like if because the Magician card is in charge of all the elements, maybe they understand their emotions and their interests, but they don't understand how to work their mind and they're not connected to spirit. You know what I mean? It always feels like people are handling 5 things at once. That's a normal thing for most of us. But when we have the Magician card, it doesn't seem like you had much left to master or understand in order to get there. So it looks like the big things you're overcoming in order to get to the Magician card is there is a scattered form of thinking. Oh my God, can you tell I didn't get any sleep last night? This is when you aren't thinking clearly, as I just did right now. You're kind of all over the place. This could be out of exhaustion. This is a lot of like, you would like to move forward, if that makes sense. Like there's the intention to, but because you're not thinking clearly, these decisions are going to be made at a bad judgment. As we can see with the Four of Pentacles, that's not you. You understand it's better to hold back, sit back, and think clearly and sort your thoughts. Yes, do you want to move forward? Yes, but it's about understanding that isn't always the case, and that's okay. Then we have over here the Five of Wands. This is you understanding you don't have to anymore, as we talked about leaving this person, deal with people who are going to put you in a position where you constantly have to defend yourself and what you believe in. If they do not want to hear what you have to say, if they want to butt heads with you, if they want to make it difficult, there's not a form of discussion or learning or whatever, then you don't have to deal with it anymore. You're having your energy spent and wasted, and it's the awareness of being able to be like, oh, I see them, and I'm getting away from them. It's being free of all the drama, essentially. Like, you don't need it in your life. And then last but not least, the Five of Pentacles. This is overcoming a sense of lacking in your life. This can be a lacking mentality to money. Maybe you just think you're not good enough for love. This is just totally overcoming that idea. It's not necessarily meaning at the end of it you're so confident and you're like, yeah, I deserve love, I'm really great, da, da, da. It's just not giving that sort of emotion weight anymore. And then as you feel confident and you're feeling like the magician and you're manifesting what you want and you feel like you're totally in control of yourself and your resources and connected to the world and the universe and however you want to define it, then the opposite kind of seeps in and you naturally, it's the type of mentality, the best way I can put it, it's kind of hard to explain unless you've like connected to it, and I'm sure many of you have. It's like, instead of overtly thinking positive affirmations, it just is. It's just intrinsically in you. You don't need to give it more weight, overthink it, it just is. And that's where we got with the Magician card. And the last thing I wanted to pull cards for is this person. I want to understand who this other person is in your life. Ooh, interesting. Interesting. Hold on. That's a 5 of Wands. Oh my God. Didn't you just get the 5 of Wands? Okay, so this is really interesting. This new person, by the way, dragons represent passion, intensity, but this is somebody who's able to approach things intensely with clarity of purpose. You gain a lot of insight during this time of marination. Marinating. I'm making up words. I'm sorry. I'm tired. It looks like this other person you're developing this relationship with is coming out of a bad family situation. They seemed like something didn't work out. This could have been with an athletic scholarship. This could have been anything. I'm just giving you examples. Whatever it is, it didn't work out, unfortunately. It was the thing they were striving for quite a good portion of their life. And it really upset their family, unfortunately. And when they had their family upset, that led to a lot of disappointments that felt like they weren't conjoined with them anymore. They are just kind of done with the whole fighting and trying to please their parents, and their parents not understanding what they went through. They're just done with it. So even though they just went through this, they're in that mentality where they just experience a level of disappointment. They're re-understanding themselves. They're understanding they don't want to deal with the drama of their family or feel like they have to live up to that potential, which is very interesting, something not too far off from what you went through. And it looks like they're in a pretty generous mindset, but I am giving a bit of a warning. This is not a negative warning. This is just something to tell your partner when you get to know them. It looks like because they're so grateful for meeting someone so cool like you, they will have a tendency to be over generous with you to the point that it can be detrimental in the long run, where they might slowly feel like they can't turn it off and may even feel resentful, or might ignore taking care of themselves the way you have mastered. So definitely when you start to notice those signs, be like, thank you so much for your generosity, but don't forget about you. Let's do something for you. You know what I mean? And I know you got this. So get excited for the positive new relationship. I'm very excited for you to be into the Magician mode. Magician mode means you can manifest anything. So when you're in that vibe, ask for the person you want. Ask for the life you want. Bring it into reality because you're totally capable of it. Anyways, if you enjoyed this reading, please consider giving a like, comment, subscribe. It helps out the channel like you would not believe. Have a lovely day. I will see you in the next one.